Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of watching and reviewing the 1999 seminal hit of Kevin Smith. Yeah, that Kevin Smith. Jay and Silent Bob Kevin Smith, that guy. He made a movie called Dogma, one of my favorite movies of all time, and I have the honor and privilege of reviewing it with this podcast, a newbie to the whole Dogma scene. She is Fierce Females BigFemVader Ayesha Raymon. Ayesha, Dogma, what the fuck, right?
I have been literally ridiculed for watching some random films. I remember somebody literally ripping through me because Tank Girl was one of my favorite films. You've got to be of a certain taste to love that film.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what you made me watch. This will basically be please explain to me what the hell was on my television screen and why it was their podcast, because I still don't understand.
No, okay. I mean, rightfully so. Now, here's the thing. For those who don't know, this is, I mean, a lot of it is, kind of centered around the Catholic Church, right? And I don't think we're speaking out of school, because literally there's a disclaimer at the beginning of the film, where it's just like, hey, whatever, and then like, also, if you fucking love platypuses, my bad, what the fuck, because we're dealing with creation here, and what have you. And it kind of lets you know, and like, it gets gory. A dude in the Jersey Shore gets fucking hacked by... But again, it all explains itself, though. And I feel like I'm on a soapbox. I feel like I'm like Reverend Billy Graham on a fucking soapbox, while fucking the cousin, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Great Balls of Fire, marrying the 14-year-old cousin, is like, fuck it. Like, that's how I kind of feel. Because I was like, And here's the thing, I don't have a dog in the hunt. Honestly, get this. Like, total disclosure, I was raised a Nichiren Buddhist. I know a lot of Catholicism, was kind of in and around. A lot of my family were Catholic and still Catholic, and like, I don't think it's taking the. A lot of people view it as like taking the piss out of whether it be Catholicism or what have you. To me, it wasn't. It's just like if you're a comic book fan, right? A comic book fan, right? And they make the movie of your favorite fucking comic, and you're like, oh, what the hell? Because the book is better. Or the fucking Harry Potter, like, the fucking book is better, right? I mean, I'm like the most minuscule kind of layman's fucking, analogy that I can make, but I think that's it, People who read the fucking book, of course they're gonna fucking have odds with it, because, again, this is a movie... again, Kevin Smith pre-Dogma was like, what, Chasing Amy and Mallrats? About motherfuckers in a mall, right? Clerks around a fucking New Jersey, liquor store, and him and Jay and Silent Bob. Kevin Smith doesn't speak more than fucking one sonnet in any of his movies.
The thing is, this whole film, the only thing I got out of this whole film was an age-old question of that meme. I finally know where it was from, and that was all that it did for me. The Jesus meme. I didn't know where that meme came from.
Oh, Buddy Christ?
I had no idea where that meme came from until I watched this film. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now, kinda.
Yeah. No. Again, so I guess let's do this. In terms of what, like. So we start out, right? We have what is it? The three kind of hockey kids, right? The street hockey kids,
They beat the shit out of that guy for no reason.
Yeah.
They kill him.
Well, it wasn't for no reason, because essentially they were doing the devil's work. They were possessed by the devil, right? In the form of these three kind of preteen kids rolling around with fucking street hockey gear, right? And they bludgeon the shit out of the dude, and then we go, and then like we get like, I think the next scene chronologically was it. Oh yeah, it
The
was George.
protest.
Yes, and it was George Carlin, right, as the fucking cardinal, which again, anybody who's a George Carlin fan, and you know, Chappelle is one of the greatest. Richard Pryor is one of the greatest. You know, like comedians of all time. There's a litany of them. Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, who's also in this film. But fuck, man, George Carlin. I remember, HBO and watching some of his old shit, like from the 1970s when he still had to have full head of hair, and I think most of them were done at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, and something went wrong. The Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, which it's kind of weird, that theater, because it's almost like a 360, and you're standing in the middle of a bowl, and he's just like talking. And later, that same Celebrity Theater also is the home of one of my favorite comedy deals of all time, the Shaq's All Star Comedy Jam, with like Tommy Davidson and D. Ray Davis and Kevin Hart. Who else was it? Cedric the Entertainer was the host, I want to say. But there was there was a lot of people. But that, George Carlin is just so great. He's one of my favorite comics of all time. And just to see him here in this role, I think it was amazing. Especially Carlin's kind of views on some things, before you pass away, or I mean, it's his entire life, But everybody can have a crossword about Carlin, right? We're finding out, right? Carlin was woke before it was cool. The after 9/11, he basically did the thing right there in New York, and it was like basically, you basically,
I should know.
yes, yes, right. Like basically breaking down the Ten Commandments to three, as well as basically like, hey, it's a big fucking club. You're not invited, but in terms of the elitists of the world and what have you. So I loved it here. I love Kevin Smith's usage of George Carlin throughout the years. He was also Ben Affleck's dad in Jersey Girl. So
Yeah.
like he's just great. Carlin's great. You never have me say a crossword about Carlin, and he's just perfect in this role.
I mean, it's just the whole the thing that I generally liked about the entire thing, for me, I know I'm skipping ahead with everything, is the role of the nurse with her character with the abortion clinic, and the fact that she's been put in this prime position of basically being the mother that's going to save everything, when realistically, in the eyes of the entire Catholic culture in this movie, she's basically the mother that destroys everything. I mean, she works for an organization that, in their eyes, ends life, but she's now been put in the position of almost kind of bringing it forward, or even continuing it, is what they tell her.
Yeah.
Of what he says.
Well, since we're jumping around a bit, it is found out because, much like anybody tasked with this deal, right? Why me? Why me? Why me? Right? And that question was uttered by her, Bethany, right? Bethany Sloan is the title character, and she's like, why me? And it's found out like midway point of the movie. Well, she's like the great grandniece of Jesus Christ, and that's it.
However, that works out in the timeline.
That works out and maybe because I don't have a dog in the hunt, right? I like it worked out for me just fine because I don't have a contest to kind of gear it against, and pit it against, or whatever you like. I view this just as a piece of film and cinema because it's just like that's what it is and wants to me. Is just a piece of cinema, and cinema is meant to entertain, right? You go, if you want to be enlightened, maybe that's where the documentary genre, that's for you, right? But if you're going to essentially be entertained, I mean, fuck, we have a shit monster, Like they were at a bar, like angels drinking in a bar, and a fucking shit monster gets summoned.
No, but even you're talking about Angels, the opening scene with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon talking. When they're at the train station, he's talking to the nun. He generally just seems either he's like a sociopath who just wants to ruin this poor woman's life, or B, he's just crazy. And when you find out that they're angels, you're like, you just basically almost converted a nun, supposed to be one of your followers, because and then you slowly find out, and it's just like, are you truly that good?
I mean, and the thing that I love about this is it didn't really, you didn't see the beginning of the conversation. What it was that he said that what was it? It's Loki, right?
Yes.
Because Barnaby, yeah, so Loki. What Loki said to, kind of convince Alan of like every life decision she had made up to the point, pretty much, right? And I think it's fun because guess what? What did the fucking Disney Cinematic Universe put out in series form? Bueller, Loki, fucking Loki from the fucking Marvel movies. That's this guy.
Is that why you made me watch this?
No, I could give. I couldn't tell you one fucking Marvel movie to save my life. And it's weird because I just kicking punchy shit, kicky punchy slammy shit. That's my jam. Like even when I'm like, I literally asked my wife yesterday, right? Because I had like a couple hours to kick around or whatever, and I'm like, what do normal people watch? Because I know inherently, because of the shit that I like, I might not be normal. Like people getting fucked, and it's whether it be pro wrestling, whether it be MMA, whether it be jiu-jitsu, whatever. But then even still, like Jackass and whatever. Like look at my damn timeline. It's people getting fucked up constantly. Like people are awesome, but people also, and that's kind of my deal. And I'm safe, right? I like don't. Oh, Woods thinks he's like, up here, he's so high and mighty. No. I'm same. Like I might have a problem. And then I flicked over to fucking YouTube band. I was like, let me do that. That's how my brain works. It's like when I remember stealing a toy car when I was in probably middle or high school, right? And my punishment, I couldn't watch wrestling. And my parents who worked at night, or my dad and stepmom, right? I had tuned over to 18. I was jonesing so bad. 18 is not the Spanish, but the Asian language channels. It's got Korean dramas, Japanese stuff, or whatever. I was watching at 3 in the morning with a pretty, whatever, prepubescent or pubescent boy of all the things with free fucking cable that I could have been watching. I was watching sumo. They walked in the door and I was like, try to fucking change the channel or whatever. What are you watching? Sumo?
Cartoons.
Sumo? It's like sumo what? Because they wanted me to say wrestling. I wouldn't let them have it, damn it. It's like sumo. I even went through like, ancient Japanese, whatever, and I went into the culture before I could even tell them, or I relent to them that it is sumo wrestling, at least how it's known as here in North America. I wouldn't let them have it. So again, I just know, like, I'll watch some shit and then I veer over to wrestling. Or
but
MMA.
But this film is a film that you enjoyed quite deeply.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Kevin Smith is my favorite, director. I've got a Funko Pop. I've got many Funko Pops.
That's the thing. I like him. His humor, his entire like nonchalant behavior about life. I like the way that he presents himself. That is a way that somebody generally should walk through life. If you walk through life like him, you probably have no strokes, less tumors, and your blood pressure will be low. But it was the weird kind of not only the timeline, but the strange jumps between things that I personally couldn't understand, and I don't know if it's just me. But it was also like I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like because of the time shift. This movie came out in when 1999. 99.
99, right?
So you have there's a period in the film where Metaton flashes his crotch, his nice Ken doll Barbie crotch at the camera, and in '99, I bet that was a moment. I saw it and I just went, oh. But is that me?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so just to give it context, right? This is pre 9/11, which is again one of the this is 2 years before 9/11 happens, right? Which I mean changed the way that people were able to express their artistic expression, travel freely, because there's a point where they're in an airport and everything like that, and it's such a timestamp of a and it's weird to say, right? It's kind of paradoxical that it's a easier time, right? But you've got literally the fucking mortal world at the behest of a fucking what is it? Abortion clinic nurse.
Yes.
That is the great grandniece of Jesus Christ. Yeah, yeah, of course. You've got.
Do you understand why my brain went 001011101?
As well, you should. What is it? Nickmo Direct to Nick2 or whatever the fuck? Like, yeah. I mean, it's this. Yeah, man. But I don't know, man. And we a couple weeks back, we basically did reviewed Big Trouble, right? And one of the most stellar casts, ensemble casts that there were. I forgot. Holy shit! We've got George Carlin, Alan Rickman, obviously Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Which I mean, this is like what 2 years removed of them, winning the Oscar for Good Will Hunting. Like they were as hot as you can be. Also Jason Lee, who is in. I love two of my favorite movies of all time. Jason Lee is in them. I love that. That's just like a weird little tidbit, but I was like, that's great to me. There's Chris Rock. There's Salma Hayek as Serendipity, a stripper named Serendipity. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I got rolled eyes.
No, I just like, literally, I don't think a movie confused me as much other than Fargo, maybe. We're not watching Fargo. No. But yeah.
Hell, Janine Garofalo's here. Which I mean, Janine Garofalo, tremendous, and also in Big Trouble. So fuck yeah.
Sure.
Jason Lee and Janine Garofalo are both in two of my favorite movies. I love that. Ethan Suplee. Funny, crazy enough, Ethan Supplee's in here, right? Years before My Name Is Earl. So Jason Suplee and,
good point, actually.
Jason Lee are both in this film years before they would team up in My Name Is Earl. Like 10 years removed.
No, but this is what you have to do to me, because again, this has become explain this to Ayesha, because Ayesha's brain has just turned into marshmallows.
Yeah.
Why would you sell this movie to somebody? Why, apart from me, who is a gullible fish and went, I'll watch this film because you told me to, what would you say that would sell this movie? Go, this is why you should watch this film.
I'm going to refer to nobody but Kevin Smith himself, right? Because in addition to what I feel is some of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time, but here we go. His evening with Kevin Smith and Evening Harders and his like kind of talk events and what have you, they're just as good. And I'm going to revert back to, him basically working with Prince, right? He wanted to use Most Beautiful Girl in the World for, when whoever comes into the first Jay and Silent Bob movie, right? And, what's her name? Sharon, the girl from American Pie, Sharon. She's
what
I'm talking
about. Yeah, I don't know who he's talking about. Yeah. Her last name.
I would say Sossaman, but it's not Sossaman. It's somebody. Or Shannon something, right? Jesus, I don't. Jay and Silent Bob. I'm literally typing that in.
Okay.
they want me to get the reboot, and I was like, she's not in the reboot, she's just in the regular one. Um, fuck, they won't give me a cast, whatever. But anyway, here nor there. But he was trying to do that and whatever, and Prince, was he was essentially, what is it? I almost said a telemarketer. The folks that knock on your door, Jehovah's Witness. There we go. Jehovah's Witness. Right. Yeah. So basically, what we got going here, right, is, Prince tasked Kevin Smith to make this documentary about Jehovah's Witness, because he's a devout Jehovah's Witness. If you live in Paisley Park during the time Prince was alive, well, guess what? Saturday morning, Prince is actually knocking at your door, giving you a watchtower. Crazy, right? So he was like, I want this. And when Prince uttered the words, and I don't know if it was there, this is as told by Kevin Smith, right? It was like I just made the film with the fucking poop monster. Like, why me, right? And it's like, I want this to be, a recruitment video for Jehovah's Witness. Well, guess what? He's like, I kind of don't really want to do that because I just made the recruitment video for Catholicism. I don't want to, hedge my bets and be typecast into what type of movies I make.
Religious recruitment videos
with poop. Yeah, with poop monsters.
With poop monsters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's it. That's the sales of it. It's a recruitment video for Catholicism, which kind of at that point, and still for many ways, has had a bad run in terms of the media and what have you. Some of it is warranted, a lot of it, and I don't want to get into that aspect of it because people, get testy. So
but isn't that what the film is about, really?
It
testy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But even in again, to tackle such a very loaded, kind of format and subject matter, I think for what it was and who was cast and in these roles and whatever, this is so good. Like sometimes when you get these big films, right? I think Ocean's 11, the first one, with like the Rat Pack and everything, it's totally nepotistic, right? Like, look, I'm so great, and me and my friends are gonna fucking do this, right? At no point did I feel like anyone was phoning it in. Everyone was totally committed to the work, right? And again, look at the fucking Janine Garofalo, fucking Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Who else? George Carlin, Alanis Morissette as the fucking Alan Rickman doing arguably his best work, right? Like,
I completely agree with you. I mean, you have a film like this, which it's not to shit on the film. It wasn't supposed to be like an Oscar nominee. It wasn't you weren't going to wear suits and ties to it. But Ben Affleck's slight meltdown, monologue, ranting episode that he has mid-movie is almost Oscar worthy, and he's doing it in such a kind of it doesn't almost fit the environment that he's in, but the passion that he's putting into that role and that character. Looking at those characters, I know Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are basically the double acts, like after Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, but they're the double acts. But you saw almost the passion for them trying to convey these characters and putting in as much work as they would into any role as they did in this film, and that I liked. But it was just the general gist and the storyline; it just melted my brain.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and I actually meant to talk about this at the beginning, right? Because this was made by Miramax, right? The organization and the affiliate of Disney, but was headed up and founded by Harvey Weinstein, right? And I kind of sent you the DM of Kevin Smith about a year or so ago, talking about this, like being conflicted, and Quentin Tarantino was on Joe Rogan's podcast, same deal, like literally those two have to thank for their entire career and livelihood this horrible person, right? That committed horrible acts, right? And and it being conflicted, and that kind of lawlessness is almost why this film got made, and why Weinstein was as exalted as he was at one time. Again, we don't know what we, hindsight 2020. We didn't know what we now know, but yeah, this is there, and even Kevin Smith was talking in that clip that I showed you off air. He was saying like a week before the fucking New York Times article went down, he was calling him and his producing partner and going like, for the first time in 12 fucking years, didn't even hear from the guy, and talking about let's do a Dogma 2.
Yeah.
So it's like every bit about this movie, it's not for the weak of heart. It's not for
Yeah.
the, because if you were to, pick apart and like, and really like raise the pitchforks and torches and what have you, you could absolutely do it. Hell, none more evident than there in New Jersey, in his hometown, his home theater. They did a protest of Dogma when it first came out. Guess what? Kevin Smith was there. Kevin Smith there.
So when you showed me that the Speak interview, I was literally, and then showed me the news actually article afterwards, and the interview and the entire broadcasting. It made me love him even more, because it was just amazing that he could be basically invisible, take the piss out of his own stuff, and enjoy it. And the simple fact that he was able to kayfabe the people around him was just, that to me was just,
Yeah.
Mick Foley, everyone. He was in the audience and you didn't even know.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're like, we believe, even the reporter is like, we believe it could be filmmaker Kevin Smith. And he was like, whatever. And he even like acknowledged to like the folks that protested the film. He thought it was going to be like 200 people. It ended up being like 12 to 15.
12,
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, and he made better signs than anybody fucking protesting it, and like with glitter and all this shit and whatever. So it's just like, again, that's what makes you love Kevin Smith every more. That's what makes you love this. Like this movie, is kind of timeless in that way. Where like, it's just fucking there, man. It's there to be consumed and whatever. And we were kind of talking off air. The same reason to kind of pull it back into wrestling, why Tommy and Aleister Black, now Malachi Black, was able to appear at AEW because of a lapse of clerical error, right? Well, that's the reason why you can't find it on any available streaming platform, because the contractual agreement that they made was kind of there, and then the whole fucking Weinstein shit went down, rightfully so.
Put it
So
into a corner.
yeah, so now it's just there. But I mean, you don't have to look hard. I mean, we got it on YouTube, like that's it, and it's there, and there's no, with the amount of views that it has. Because I know when I posted we were doing this, my sister's like, where. I'm trying to look for it everywhere, and I just like DM'd her the link, and she's just like, "Oh my god!" And it was through my sister. I don't even know how we ended up fucking watching this the first time, but he was like, yeah, "What is it? The Sleep was in Seattle. You had me at Hello. You had me and my sister at Poop Monster."
I just the thing is, I like stupid, not is necessarily toilet hero, mind the pun, but I just no.
But see, this is the thing. It borders the line on like blasphemy, and it borders the line of the tastefulness as well as tastelessness. It borders the line of comedic versus kind of like a definitive, like heavy fucking topic. Like there's so much. Like it just fucking walks this fucking line, right? It's like a fucking flying Walenda on the damn trapeze or on the fucking tightrope going across Niagara Falls. Like it's just so masterfully done. And at surface, you could just go like, fucking. Oh, it's Jay and Hell, the fact that Jay and Silent Bob, and of course it was the title characters of the director, right? And the most, but the fact that Jay and Silent Bob were like two apostles and shit like that, like, again, that just tells you how serious you need to take this thing.
It's weird though, because as much as it's supposed to be almost like a parody, but you're supposed to have a laugh with it, and it's supposed to be a joke. It's got more facts and factual references than a lot of movies that do kind of uplift religion in probably like a more uplifting light. Bruce Almighty, for example, or Evan Almighty, or the Almighty like anthologies, they have a very like light-hearted take on Christianity in general. But you have things and references in like Dogma, such as Medaton. The fact that people don't actually speak to God because God's voice is so uplifting and powerful, and it will melt your brain, and the drums will explode, and it's too much for you and too confusing. So he speaks through Metatron. And there isn't many references to that when people actually do films about Christianity, Christ, or God. And it was just kind of nice to know they were kind of staying true to a lot of things that were facts, rather than just kind of putting random things together and hoping it will stick. Even references towards the nurse, where when you see her for the first time and she's having a conversation with her friend, and they tell her that they tell her that she should be the one that should go out and speak to them because they already hate everybody in the building, and they might actually speak to her because she's Jewish and Jesus was a Jew. And it's just like, it's things like that. It's just slight light-hearted facts, but then it's like, can you really say that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact of the matter, in total disclosure, Kevin Smith grew up in Catholic school in New Jersey, right? Where, so these are his people he's speaking to. If nothing else, like, if this movie, went to a fucking film festival and never made it out of Jersey, like, it could be that. It could be that. But it's just like, and that's one thing that Kevin Smith is so masterful in doing, is he kind of shows you Jersey, man. Like, he's like, to me, outside of fucking Springsteen and Bon Jovi, arguably the best fucking. I sat on that shit until like, dude, Living on the Prayer and what is it? The fucking what's it? The It's My Life. Fucking listen to
Runaway. Runaway was like my theme song when I was walking down the road at one point in time. That's like.
yeah, exactly. So between those three, right? And we're not even getting to the Whitney Houstons. We're not getting into the Diamond Dallas Pages or Bam Bam Bigelows. We're not, even getting into fucking Tito Santana, who's still a Spanish teacher at a high school somewhere in Jersey, also having a hairdresser with his wife, right? We're not even getting to those folk, right? We're just like, those three. I feel like Bruce, and I even say with Bruce, it's like America. Like if you listen to Bruce Springsteen, and I fucking love Bruce Springsteen, total disclosure, but if you, and I like later fucking Bruce Springsteen, I'm not even talking about like Born to Run, those are cool and everything like that, but I jumped in at The Rising, his like 2002 whatever, and whatever, just those albums, the latter part of his career, are enough to fucking hook, line, sinker. It's just, that's that. So with that all being said, fucking listen to Magic. If like Magic, the fucking Bruce Springsteen record, good God, it is that. It's fucking magic, man. So he does a great job of kind of fully encompassing like the people around, right? The people around, and that's why the references he made, they were so hard in the paint because he grew up with them. He knew the people. He knew the language. There's a lot of times, like Alan Rickman speak, like him talking. I was just like, if you close your eyes, it's fucking Kevin Smith. Like he's writing all this dialogue. He's writing all this dialogue from a fucking, Jersey fucking perspective. Jersey meets Hollywood, and effortlessly, at least it seems like, effortlessly jumps back and forth and what have you, right? It's like religious fact, at least what we know it, questioning it, and then fucking poop joke. And then, fucking Jay trying to bed Bethany, right? And then Bethany fucking drinking and whatever on the train. And then essentially, it was looking like she and Ben Affleck or Bartleby were going to, tie one off, right? And then until Chris Rock comes in and goes like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" and whatever. Like, you're there, you're in the arms of the enemy, and then he fucking breaks the damn bottle, holds it to her throat, and everything ensues. The fucking golden calf. Here's the thing: when they had the movies pop up, because movies is like the seminal kind of tie to every Kevin Smith's cinematic universe. Movies is there, right? Like, movies is there. That none more evident than Chris Rock rocking that when he falls naked from the sky, to be found later. They dress him up in a movie sucking deal. Sorry for his black ass that you see. Assuming that's it, unless he had another black ass body double or what have you. But that's here nor there. But yeah, like when I was learning about, because I had a lot of family that were Catholic and whatever, and they talked about the golden calf and whatever, and I was just like, the questions, and this is really what kind of tied me in. Like, I came for Poop Monster, and then I stayed for everything else, because the questions that he was asking, and the characters. He's asking the questions through the various characters and what have you about the golden calf. And, at movies, when they're about to, kind of release this golden calf deal, there's two stories, right? The reintroduction of Catholicism and, like, making it sexy again. That's why we got Buddy Christ and what have you. We have this, a bombastic, almost progressive cardinal that we have, right? And the funny thing about it is, look at what we ended up having after, Pope John Paul, right? Like, this guy, right? The guy that we've got now, right? Well, there was that guy, then the Nazi Pope, and then this guy. Just saying.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, but again, this is, like, all of these things are fucking heavy, man. And again, like, I was like, wait, like, there's a bit of paradox, right? Because there's a lot of imagery, right? In Catholicism, there's a lot of whatever, and I'm like, but then they speak of the golden calf, and I was like, okay, all right, this is just whatever. And I always question it, so to see it actually, like, I'm not the only one. The bit of, like, community that it gave me, right? Like I'm not the only one and whatever, and not to be skeptical or anything like that. Like, believe what you want to believe. And that's kind of the theme of this whole deal, right? Is belief, right? But, like, the world could end on fucking belief. So are you cool with that? Because that's where we're going. And, especially after this whole, like, the last, hell, 8 years, whatever the fuck that we've had here in the States, right? But really, since 1776, when we fucking, even the flag is politicized, even the date, everything is politicized. Like, again, watching this with all of this knowledge of the last, since 99, we're going on almost 99, 2009, 2019 to 21, 22 years, right? Knowing the last 22 years of everything that has happened, right? I think Dogma stands out even more so. Like, you were asking me, like, what is the selling point? I don't give a shit what the selling point is. Like, if I have to fucking dose everybody up and shit like that and say, here, fucking watch this, that's it. Like,
yeah, but then isn't it, like, almost a bit sad and nostalgia? Because it's like, that what they're preaching, it almost kind of hurts you because you're 21 years in the future and you're like, what's kind of in this film is kind of what kind of happens.
It's almost exactly what fucking happened. It's still happening today. What is it? I'm going to borrow from Natasha Bedingfield, right? The past is still unwritten. No, fuck yeah. No, it's 100%. Like, it's still here. We're still living in Dogma.
Are we there? Are we there?
Give me one reason how we aren't.
Because instead of like what that portrayed more like was almost kind of changing when it comes to the Catholicism side and the protesting side. It was almost changing it to fit the narrative of what they thought people's mind state were at the time, so they'd get involved more with the Catholic Church. I don't see that it's like that now. I see it in my opinion, it's more most people kind of create their own worlds to fit in within a branch, rather than just changing the branch to fit in with the people. Does that make
No, that makes no. You're speaking to my heart, and again, a bit of total disclosure. Again, I grew up, as a Nichiren Buddhist. That's how my mom raised me. My dad was there for a little bit. He was actually what brought, the practice home, right? But my mom's type of deal, just kind of on a side note, they lived in San Francisco, right? And going to Reno, like here I live in LA, people, when they want to go footloose and fancy free, they go to Vegas, right? But Reno is essentially Vegas to people who live in Northern California, right? So they were going, whatever. My mom was 7 months pregnant with me, and they end up going. And my dad loses all of their money. All of their money. I think we're like 10 G's. And 10 G's, 1980 10 G's. Like that's, yeah. So, yeah, inflation and all that, whatever. It's a shit ton more, right? He basically loses it at the fucking, I don't know if it was slot machine, blackjack, poker, craps, whatever the fuck. But he lost all the money that they'd saved up to that point. The fucking motorcycle that they rode on, he pawned it in the fucking middle of the night and came up and he was like, I lost everything. He told my mom.
What was he playing? Blackjack?
I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. But so before they left, right, and my mom, she was brought up as a Methodist in Fiji, but Fijian Methodists, right? I mean, again, very layman's term, and not trying to offend anyone or whatever, but it's just like, you fucking sit there in your pew on Sunday, sing your hymnals, and get the fuck on with your life, right? Like, that's kind of it, right? So when she comes to the States and goes to a Black Methodist church here in San Francisco, well, what ends up happening is like they're running about the halls and whatever. That was stuff that she
were fainting on the floor.
Yeah, she was taught that was the fucking devil. Like in her deal, and she was just like, oh, whatever. And then my dad, who was a musician, was playing, and they were practicing late and everything like that. And she calls over thinking he's cheating, and they're Nam Yo Ho Renge Kyo, whatever. And she's like, what the fuck is this? Just like, what the fuck is this, right? You get your ass here now, whatever, right? So long story short, before they left to Reno, one of her friends that she actually worked with at a convalescent home, basically she practiced as well, right? And was trying to propagate to my mom, and my mom wasn't having it, but still in this kind of weird place, right? So they hug. Unbeknownst to my mom, the lady scribbles out the basic prayer to the Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism, sticks it in her pocket, and then they part ways, right? So my dad losing all the fucking money. And she's like, almost, and it's funny because one of my other favorite movies is Vegas Vacation. Almost the scene where when everybody, Clark fucks away all their fucking money, and Ellen Griswold is like, I've got $2. That was almost my mom, pretty much, right? She had about $1.75 or $2 or whatever, and she had the fucking, gonna go play Keno. And again, for somebody, Fiji, there's no gambling in Fiji, not like to the extent of fucking Nevada, right? She goes, and in the elevator, she's like, hey, I got one shot. She's literally going into the place that fucking stole all their money or had the influence on my dad, to steal, to fucking pillage their entire life savings with the baby on the way, 2 months out, right? So she reaches in the pocket for the fucking $2, but also sees the fucking piece of newspaper with the scribble. She's like, hey, fuck it. If this works, whatever. And she starts kind of making it out, rubbing her belly with me inside, right? And she goes, picks Keno numbers, waits the 15 minutes, what have you, and when the game plays, one number, two number. By the time it gets to the fourth number, not only are her numbers coming up, but in the exact manner, and she picked it in sequential order of how she marked it down on the paper. She freaked the fuck out, got my dad. My dad's still forlorn of all the shit that he did and fucking lost and everything. And he's like, no, take this ticket. So, whatever. Well, they ended up $2,000 over what my dad lost, right? So my mom basically used that as her principle for doing what she did. And she would do things like have lottery tickets right on her altar and everything like that, right? And it's just like she was chasing the dragon, really, like me now knowing that, right? So when you were asking about like seeing the symbolism and everything like that, again, this is why I'm not attached to any one given thing, because I saw it with my own eyes in my own family. So that's probably why it's a little bit more digestible to view something like this, right? And feel like, oh, it is a part of me, because I'm not tethered to any one belief system, what have you. I didn't have that. I'm not even like I call Inglewood home because I grew up, but I moved there when I was 9, turning 10. Right? I don't have a fucking ancestral birth home or whatever. Like that is long gone, man. Like the two places I was born in San Francisco and raised in LA. Those two places, fucking highest rents and property in the world, pretty much.
And look completely different than they did like 5 years ago anyway. So
yeah. So again,
let alone 25, 30.
Yeah. So I'm not beholden to any one thing. Everything is all fucking shifty, and that's why I can see it, and that's why I also again with the golden calf and all that whatever. Like it made sense because I saw, that happened. I see other people what they do that and what have you, and again that's what they do. I'm not saying it's bad. Don't do what you want. What you believe or anything like that, but also know your belief, it doesn't have to be rooted in any sort of fact, right? John Mayer says it best, right? Its belief is what they're fighting for, right? They're never going to win the war, never going to stop the wars, right? Its belief is what you're fighting for, right? No matter when, like people are going to go generation after generation thinking this was right because somebody thought it was and whatever. And which to me, again, I think it's the context of this film, right? Like it's the belief system. You don't have to believe what I believe, but also there's a pro and a con to any given thing.
True. Fine. You sold it. There you go.
I didn't even try.
I'll give it one more chance.
I mean, you could give it as many chances as you want. I think, again, watching it back, because, every showing that was on HBO, when I might have found it the same summer of, like, One Crazy Summer and Ferris Bueller, like, around the same, like, whatever. Because, honest to goodness, we weren't doing well. My mom, was essentially working for City Hall and, fucked her credit away and what have you. And we were living at a hotel, like a no-tail motel for $30 a night. And we got HBO and other sword channels, my sister. That was the only thing that we could actually fucking watch that wasn't porn, right? Like, so those movies just got played on a loop. So we just fucking watched that fucking loop and whatever. So I got a lot of it, right? And now I was a kid. I was a teenager then. Now knowing, again, 21 and a half, some odd years removed, and being an adult, it gave it a lot more context. And I actually appreciate it a lot more than... I knew it was fucking good. But, like, how good it was, it blew me out of the water.
I was going to ask you that, whether your opinion changed from when you first watched it to when you rewatched it now.
It's solidified my like me showing people this. And again, it would be...
Is there anything that didn't make sense before that, like, literally strikingly makes sense now as an adult?
Well, you're talking to a guy that I I loved Cheech and Chong and half baked movies before I even realized they were weed movies.
What do you think they were smoking? Candy floss?
Like my dad smoked Dandrums. They literally had the nail in the coffin, the clove cigarettes and everything. So I was just like, oh, well, if that kills you, it could be that. It could be that. Yeah. But again, I'll throw it back, right? Where when my dad was playing at Fisherman's Wharf, and they would take breaks in the van, right? And when they were playing, because it's street, well, me and my sister would be in the van or kind of around the other, like jewelry makers that were on the same kind of touristy level, right? The other the people selling their wares, right? So wares, not whores. I know my my shit enunciation.
It was like Cool Whip.
Yeah, their wares is what I went. But they would be like burning incense, right? Then when I get to Inglewood High, and they're like, one of the security guards who's like, yeah, you don't get the good grades, but you're smart and whatever. Just don't hang around with those folk, right? Because they smoke marijuana. And I was like, okay, right? And then I got close to them, and I was like, whoa, that seems eerily reminiscent of the incense that my parents. Oh shit, my parents are fucking potheads. Right on. Yeah. It's cool. And it's funny because I went straight laced. I didn't consume alcohol until I was like actually 21. Like I didn't, like carouse or anything like that. And it's not anything like that. And it's funny. I did that with no moral code, right? Like I didn't have that because the deity is gonna bad. No, I did that because I saw like everybody get fucked up on these things, right? Like girls get pregnant or a venereal disease, like whatever. That's what happened to a lot of my friends, right? And then the alcohol and the weed again. It was just like inebriation. I was just like, nah, I don't need. Like I'm already at a loss, right? Like I don't have a family home to go to. I don't have any one place. I mean, before I even hit Inglewood, right? I think I want to say like 12 different schools and like a litany of different fucking states and shit like that. And then dropping. So we're going San Francisco, a bit in Fiji, back to San Francisco, but over the bridge in San Rafael, Indiana, Las Vegas, New Mexico, Georgia, Inglewood. So that was before I was 9, right? So I'm not attached to any one thing. That's why it was a lot more palatable for me. Because again, it's just like everything is changing, everything is shifting, But I'm also like I'm attached to people, but I'm also not either. Like if my wife or kids they're like you suck and whatever and walked out the door, I'd be like okay, like because
more food for me in the fridge.
Yeah, no, because I don't expect anyone to be there, right? I don't expect. So again, that's why this movie is just like because it is there. It is there. It's there for you to interpret or whatever. And if there's parts that you need help filling the blanks in. And again, I'm not a theologist, right? I'm not a theologist in the slightest bit. But there's enough theology, at least context in there, where you don't fucking need it. You don't have to look very far because it gets answered.
If you have basic like RE knowledge, religious education knowledge, you'll be fine in the film, realistically. But it's just the context of the film that made my brain hurt. That's
all. Well, okay, so let's just Bartleby, Ben Affleck, and Loki, right? Matt Damon, they were cast out, right? And I knew that deal, right? I knew enough, Christian. Catholic, whatever context to know that part, right? Two angels that were at the hand of God, right? And they fucked up and they got cast down, right? Like I knew that, right? So these two trying to get back into heaven, got it, right? And it's not just easy because there would be no film, right? There'd be like it would end in 2 minutes. Oh, we're not in heaven. Cool, let's just get back into heaven, right? There has to be some fucking tomfoolery involved to kind of, make the movie worthwhile and make the hero's journey. And again, the hero isn't, or heroine isn't what you think it is when you first start out the movie, but it becomes unraveled, and you find out when the characters find out, right? Like, there's not any Easter eggs or anything like that. Like, you find out you're going on a ride with each character, and each character having a bit of the story, a bit of the truth, whether it be Rickman, whether it be Chris Rock, whether it be, even Jay and Silent Bob, all of these people having a little bit of it. And, Jason Lee's fucking character, telling, Bartleby and Loki, like, hey, fuck, you piss off everyone, right? And you can't go like, oh, I can't do this because there's the devil in it. Well, no, God's in it. Oh, if you're a Satanist and whatever, like, oh, I can't do this shit because God's in it. Well, again, these are two fucking characters that you start off the movie, and they pissed off both heaven and earth and beyond.
And then converted a nun. That's the end of the world.
Yeah, and then again, fucking they were talking about, and I think it is so cool. Like, it's just like all of my fucking favorite people are in this one, right? Like, of course, I've got favorite people that aren't in this one, but a lot of my fucking favorite people, actors, comedians, or whatever, are in this fucking thing. But they were talking about the fucking voice of God to be so indistinguishable that it will fucking melt everyone away and everything. Well, guess what? Who shows up? Alanis fucking Morissette. Who doesn't love Alanis Morissette?
Hey, Ironic is a great song.
That Jagged Little Pill is a great fucking album, good God.
Which one was supposed to mythically be about Ryan Reynolds? Was it Ryan Reynolds? There was an actor.
No, Dave Coulier was you ought to know.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I know it was the actor. I was just like,
yeah, she was fucking pissed. You look at the fucking lyrics of that song. She's too fucking. Are you thinking of me when you fuck her? That's where we're going, man. And she's the one that plays the voice of God in fucking, what is it? Was it Chuck's or Doc Martens and a fucking tutu dress? Like, it was great. Like, so great. Fucking Ben Affleck's Bartleby's character is so pissed that everybody's fucking up his way to heaven that he's just fucking picking people up and fucking dropping them. Like, holy fuck, man. Like, again, in terms of character, like, take out the religious context and constructs and what have you. You just look at character development, and it's one of the things that drew me into wrestling. It's why I like fucking fights. Like, it's the character development and the improvement of self, right, within the context of whatever your art is, right? That's, to me, that's this. Like, you figure it out when the other people figure it out. Like, every player in this fucking movie has a part to play and plays it well. And it's a fucking jigsaw, So again, if you didn't even have the religious context or not offended by it, you can theoretically enjoy this movie and not feel weird about it. I don't know, but you felt weird about it
on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll fucking put the link out. I'll tweet out the link. I really think everybody needs to fucking see it, but I also think that chance. Yeah, everybody wants. I also think everybody should be invested in AMC, regardless of whatever it is. I'm a crazy person.
It's just because if we buy more, yours is worth more. That's the only reason. It's selfish more than you're trying to help people.
No. I want everybody to be good. I want everybody. If you're at a gig that you don't like, if you're in a relationship that you don't, whatever, if you just think that there's, in the words of Stacey Orico, there's more to life than chasing this temporary high to satisfy you. If you think there's more to life, do that. Just fucking do it. I mean, as some guy, total disclosure, fucking did it. podcast just over a year ago, I would see what I would, and a lot of people like, oh, you're fucking interviewing these people and getting access and all that shit. I wanted to just sit at my home and have the access, but in my fucking home. It's only been a year and I've been fucking doing that, and it's arguably turned out successful, despite me, because it's not me. It's
sometimes it's you.
Sometimes half full. That's where I go. Half full. Just saying. So, yeah, man. Dogma. So, I probably didn't give you any credence in like kind of helping you sift through the fucking labyrinth that this was.
I mean, like I said, I'll give it another chance. I have watched it. This will be 3 times now. 3 times. I will give it a 4th just as an even number, and I don't get like annoyed about it. But it's not a bad film. It is literally just one of those films that I have to watch like probably about 10 times before I completely understand every.
Okay. Does your understanding or lack thereof at this particular juncture, does that impede your enjoyment of the film?
No, because I did enjoy aspects of the film. I did enjoy, like I said, the factual aspects. I enjoyed seeing these characters in a completely different setting 20 years earlier. There's a lot of actors here that I didn't watch, obviously, because in 1996, I wasn't of age of watching this film or any other films of that time. So it was just kind of nice seeing actors that I've seen now, probably in their older age, do a lot different stuff in this kind of setting. Like, it was interesting to kind of see everybody in a different setting than they usually were in my opinion, from my generation.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, and I use this to a hilt, but wearing anything with a blazer, like if you see a lot of my shit, like I wear anything on with a blazer, which again, Alan Rickman's fucking character did, both Ben Affleck as well as Matt Damon. Why do I always forget Matt Damon? But yeah,
How?
like I don't know. But I've also never seen like a Jason Bourne film either.
Neither have I, to be fair.
Yeah. So
I've read the books. I haven't watched the film.
yeah. So I don't have a lot of like, for me, if you're like, what's fucking Ben Affleck's favorite? I mean, like best movie? Chances are it's gonna be a fucking Kevin Smith movie. It's either that or it's either Dogma or Jersey Girl. Like, I don't really have too much like context. If you ask me what Matt Damon is, again, same thing. Carlin, here's the funny thing about Carlin. Have you heard? You guys, it was probably called something different there, but Shining Time Station. Do you know of it?
No.
Shining Time Station was here in the States during the 80s and 90s, was where we got our Sesame Street. And Shining Time Station, matter of factly, was what Thomas the Tank Engine was on, right? Thomas the Train, right? So Shining Time Station, before they did the clip, they would be live action actors in the fucking station, right? And they would be referencing the Thomas and whoever the fuck, whatever. Well, there was a Mr. Conductor, right? Well, there have only been, during the run of Shining Time Station, there have only been 2 Mr. Conductors. Do you know who they are?
No.
Richard Starkey. Do you know of that gentleman?
No.
You might know his moniker, Ringo Starr.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
And then George Carlin. George Carlin and Ringo Starr introduced Thomas the Tank Engine to fucking educational kids shows in the 80s and 90s.
And now watching a lot of people kind of rip Thomas the Tank Engine apart, like, now is disturbing.
How can you fucking... what kind of...
Because it's like watching SpongeBob as like an adult. There are so many things that happen that as a child, I wish I wasn't shown that. Watch it again and you
Okay.
understand what I mean.
All right. I don't. I guess this is where I make my words soft and sweet, just in case I have to eat them later, because I haven't seen it since. But then again, what better than fucking Ringo Starr and George Carlin, and then fucking, what is it, puppeteering fucking trains, man? Like, right on, 10 points. I'm in. I loved trains as a kid. I love trains. I loved space. I like dinosaurs. I was a weird, and I like fucking pro wrestling. I was a weird fucking kid, man.
Yeah, clearly.
I also fucking burnt ants.
Why?
You've never done it?
With the magnifying glass thing? I thought that was a myth. I didn't think you could really do that.
That no bullshit. Yeah, you can A, do that, and B, there would always be people around that had the Mexican ice cream. Like that's a thing. They ring the bell and they fucking have a.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, I found out about dry ice, and the way I did it, because I reached for my fucking ice cream and I got burnt, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
but what? Like, I got burnt from ice? What the fuck? And the dude explained it to me, and I also went to my dad and whatever, and I said, instead of using my ice cream money, I bought fucking dry ice to watch all of the fucking ants, like, go to the dry ice and fucking. I know it was a bad.
You're an evil human being.
I'm reformed.
Somebody get these dogs away from him.
I
now.
was once a fucking bad human being. I'm literally a redemption story. My name is Earl. Ask redemption story. Like, I used to fucking M80s and have frogs eat them and shit like that. And yeah, I wasn't good. Never did I say I was like an amazing person. Like, I'm not going for a Nobel Peace Prize. But then again, the Nobel Peace Prize is named after a gentleman who essentially created fucking bombs.
Good point. I was gonna say that. Yeah, no.
Shit is gray areas, right? I'm now not in wrestling so much, right? Because you need a heel and a face. You can't have tweeners all the fucking time. Otherwise,
I know,
nobody.
but they think they can. Apparently, you can.
Yeah, that's why they will be almost exactly the they that they left. Mm-hmm.
So, Dogma, 9 out of 10. So I'm assuming? Is that a 10 out of 10?
7 million fucking points. That gets a emphatic 10 points on this mythical fucking scale that nobody has a scoreboard for.
I would like to take a rewatch. I will take my rewatch, and for now, I will give it a 5 because it wouldn't be fair for me to downrate it. Let's stay in the midway.
Now I also gave you some companion pieces to watch. So and just because I wanted to give you every kind of like a deal about it, because again, this shit is heavy. Not just because of the religious text that it's basically taking the piss out of. Some people will say that. People can construe that versus what the actual mode of the film was, right? What would drive somebody with like Kevin Smith to make such a thing, But and then there's it was a Miramax film, Harvey Weinstein, right? There's a lot of fucking heavy fucking things just surrounding this movie, both behind the camera and in front of the lens, right? So, I don't want you to go oh, I fucking love this movie and find out that there's this labyrinth of fucking shit. Not shit monster, just labyrinth of shit surrounding it. But it would be cool. Everybody needs a shit monster.
It's fine. Every movie that we seem to be watching has some kind of underbelly context to it. I'm used to it now.
Yeah, man.
I think you're trying to educate the masses. I think that's what's happening.
Oh my god, don't make me into the CM Punk. I can't be that. That's too heavy. It's too fucking heavy.
Never know. It might be a good position. Being a martyr, I've heard, is a good position.
But you have to die first, so fuck that shit.
That's true.
I'm alright. And again, I'm not saying woke, I'm whatever, but there are some fucking things, like the fucking Jersey and the Pussycats, the fucking, Dogma, the fucking like these are fucking things. And again, everybody's like, oh my god, Harry Potter, oh my god, Lord of the Rings, oh my god, whatever. And I'm like, this shit on the fucking, you know, on the outskirts. I want to say it's so much better, but I also like root for the underdog. I like the things that are fringe, right? Like I like wrestling. Like my favorite fucking time in wrestling is the time where a lot of people think it's the down period, the fucking new generation. I loved every bit of it. Like fucking Bob Holly, a fucking race car driver wrestler, fucking T.L. Hopper.
Sparky Plug.
Yeah, Thurman Sparky Plug. I was like, oh shit, he's a real dude. He must be like one of them NASCAR guys and whatever, and he's coming over here.
And you like IRS too? Repo Man, did you like? Did you like?
Oh my god! Should I show you my Funko Pop?
Oh no!
I got Money Inc. I got Money
Of course
Inc.
you
in
did.
Funko Pop form. Of course.
Of course you do.
I'm a weird human
Not
being.
even surprised. Not even surprised.
Yeah,
Not surprised.
I'm a weird. I'm Shrek incarnate is what my kids think I am. Yeah.
No, you're a little less Scottish and a little less green.
You know what? I guess the older kids, right? I guess we would say like step kids, but to me they're older kids. They're not step anything. Didn't step on them kids, so fuck that. So I'm an unfunny Bernie Mac because there would be times where they'd be watching the Bernie Mac show and laughing, fucking howling, laughing. My wife too, right? And the day before, hours before even them watching this fucking program, did and said the same thing and rolled eyes and whatever. Bernie Mac fucking said it. Oh, that shit was gospel, man. I'm an
This is
unfunny
Bernie Mac. This is
RIP.
Bernie Mac. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take it. Less talented Bernie Mac. When you sum up my fucking career, that'd be it. On the tombstone, right? Father, husband, unfunny Bernie Mac.
To be fair, that'd be a nice tombstone.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Ooh, yes.
I just want mine to read "Wake up in 10 minutes."
Right on. 10 points. That's it, man. So yeah, fuck, that was Dogma. That was Dogma, folks. Go watch it. I will tweet. I'll fucking share this on every one of my social. You can't show it to Instagram, right? Because you can't watch a fucking full-length movie on Instagram, man. But if you wanted to, fucking Instagram, change your fucking policies so people can watch this shit. But I am going to share this on every social media platform, whatever, on my Facebook, my Book of Faces, my Tube of Views. Oh, I can't do the Tube of Views, but the Twitter, that too.
The Twitter shit.
Yeah.
The tweets box.
The Twitter machine. That's
it.
Bubba Ray, right? No, the Twitter machine. The Twitter machine. I put it on the Twitter machine in the Book of Faces, and you consume it, and you guys can thank me later, or you guys like fucking pitchforks and torches. But that's cool because I'm like literally going through the Bible Belt all next week. I am.
What?
I am. Like starting tomorrow, I'm trekking cross country right through, like, the places where, if people consume this fucking podcast, and I damn sure they do, if they followed me on any given social media, pitchforks and torches are coming about. So,
Can you please not? I need something to do during the week, apart from other stuff.
Okay.
Wrestling hasn't started yet here, so don't take him away. And this is my message to the people carrying pitchforks. Like, if you're just gonna poke him, just do it once, and then you can leave. Just one quick hit and leave. You don't have to keep going.
There you go. You can poison my Whataburger or some shit. I don't know.
No, I don't want you to die. You can feel pain. They can cause you pain. You just can't die.
Okay. All right. I like it. Right on. 10 points. That's the way I survived Inglewood, man. But fucking Dogma. Dogma's amazing. Dogma's tremendous. One of my favorite movies of all time. Most people regard like the Godfather, and they wear the fucking shirts and the fucking Scarface or whatever. This is my, I put how most people put that reverency of those movies, and it might not be of the best connotations once you fucking look at it. Well, this is my that. This is like, I want to rock fucking, kicks that have fucking, poop monster.
House full of poop monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why the fuck not? Just saying. I think life will be a lot better.
With poop monsters.
better than reptilians, though.
It's true. Or
We
humans.
haven't heard of peep about the aliens that were supposedly coming, right?
Oh yeah. Wait, it's 2021. Yeah, that's true. Wait, no. Didn't what's his name just release his ship into space?
Branson.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. And there, you know what? At no point, because I watched the live stream, man, and I kind of cried because I was like, oh, my parents would be fucking jazzed to see this. But the fact of the matter is, like, at no point, at least in my viewing, did they mention that it was only going to be up there for fucking 4 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that context. So when they came down, I was just like, oh, my fucking tinfoil hat went on. I was like, oh shit, they fucking saw the alien.
They came back with 5 of them.
Yeah, no. They fucking, the alien, like, you know, one big fucking gargantuan alien was like, fuck you. And then they fucking, you know, about face and got the fuck out of there. That's what I want to believe to happen.
Or they picked up the hitchhiking alien that was just outside our orbit and then came back. And he's right now in Area 51 telling them all the stuff that we need to know to go forward before the asteroid drops at the end of the year. You heard it from me first.
Okay. Well, every president and prime minister since the beginning of time already knew this shit. So,
I know.
You know,
And then Trump decided to tell us, you know, on YouTube, which makes us a bit all better.
Space Force.
True.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Ayesha Raymon, BigFemVader, where can they find more about you, Fierce Females, and all of the amazing endeavors that you are involved in?
So I'm going to try and do this right. There you go. So if you type in that, BigFemVader, at BigFemVader into any social media platform, you basically get this amazing TV, Warner Brothers, wrestling, machine-worthy face and body. Or you can type in Fierce Females Wrestling or Fierce Females Glasgow into anything as well. And you can see all the amazing things that we have coming forward. I currently have my flock. If anybody's been on Twitter or social media recently, look at my flock.
Okay, Raven. Quote the Raven. Quote the Vader nevermore.
I will be Joseph Seeds. No,
Oh, wow. You went Joseph with the Dogma deal. Right on. 10 points. I'm According Woods, and you can find this. I'm going to be on a hiatus because I'm trekking cross-country. But go back into the archives, man. Go back. There's some cool shit. Ayesha has been on multiple times. And this kind of incarnation of the podcast. One of the members of our flock, brilliant Brody Adler, also on the podcast. So check it out. You'll be good for it. But and you should also subscribe. That'd be cool too. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But fuck convincing you. I mean, Ayesha's there, but also former Maya Classic competitor Zeta Zhang is going to convince you as well.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang.